Okay, welcome once again. Here we are again, Hotel Barracuda. It's Tuesday morning, Expat Club, and as always, Ron Cart here interviewing our today's speaker, Simon Carey. Simon, would you like to say hello to everybody?
Yes, hi, and I'd like to say to the Expat Club, thank you very much for the invitation.
Hey, it was our pleasure having you. Right. But you were talking about the Pattaya and the Russian Revolution, which was very interesting to everybody, all right? And but it was really about the story of the last member of the Sukhon family, is that right?
Not Sukhin, but Sukhov family.
Sukhov, okay. All right.
I nearly got mixed up with the road.
Yeah. And, but in particular, Arlet, have I got it? Arlet Seichmann, is that right?
Yeah, Arlet Seichmann was the surname she inherited from her stepfather.
Oh, okay.
Her real name was Arlet Sukhov.
Okay, and that's really the key name, and that's the theme that goes all the way through it. Okay?
Yeah. She was part of the Sukhov family, which was a White Russian family.
Interesting.
Which is White Russian means that they are anti-Bolshevik, anti-communist.
Yeah.
And she ended up here in Pattaya as the last remaining member of the family. Sadly, she's now died.
Yeah, but very interesting. Really, a lot of what you covered. People just didn't know, because you broke it down into sections. You started off with Russia. Actually, but before that, you mentioned actually you went to Russia, is that right?
Well,
and certain difficulties you had in researching this, is that right?
Yes. I mean, Arlet asked me to write the story of their family.
I'm just going to move this 1 minute just to make sure it's up in the nice... Okay, that's it.
Okay,
yep.
And we did a lot of interviewing between us,
yes.
Arlet and myself, and she had a lot of information and diaries and photograph albums. But sooner or later, we realised to get to the real part of the story, we had to go to Russia ourselves. Yeah. Because the Russia Revolution and the Civil War is such a sensitive subject in Russia.
It would be.
Even today, you couldn't just walk in the door and say, I'm here to research and write a book.
Yeah.
So we had to be very careful about how we did it.
Yeah, no, I can understand 100%. But then you kicked off about a brief history of Russia, starting off with 1917. Now, we don't have a lot of time, but do you want to just summarise that as well? Because it was 3 sections that you covered.
Yeah, well, we had to make a starting point somewhere. We just couldn't keep going back in the family history. So one of the great events of our last century was the Russian Revolution.
You're right.
This was the event that shook the world.
That's true.
And so we decided to start it there.
Good point.
And this book, the first part of the book, is written about a middle-class merchant family in Russia that were not political, but were caught up in this revolution, where basically the communists were saying, everything you've got, we want.
Yes, yeah.
And they risked losing absolutely everything. So they had to make a decision about what to do: cut and run, or stay and fight.
Yeah, and that led on to their journey out of Russia, is that right? Which was very interesting, mate.
Well, first there was a civil war,
of course,
of which the whites nearly won, but then when the collapse happened, it turned from great into an absolute disaster almost overnight.
And that was led by Leon, is that right? Leon Trotsky.
Leon Trotsky, who formed the Red Army, who fought against the whites, and he ultimately prevailed over them. And they had to, and there was thousands and thousands of kilometres of barren, freezing cold Siberian steppes, and hundreds of thousands of people died on trying to escape and get out to Vladivostok, which they finally managed to get to.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Interesting. And so, and then what have I got? And then Arlet was actually born in 1941. Is that right?
Correct. She was born.
Where was she born?
She was born in Shanghai.
That's it,
because the family managed to escape Russia on ships that landed them in Shanghai, which was an international concession in those days. It was not technically part of China, but an international community. And they managed to get off the ships, and then they stayed there. And yes, Arlet was born in Shanghai, and her brother was as well.
Interesting. Okay. And then from there, as I say, we don't have a lot of time. You spoke for over an hour, so I'm trying to condense it for everybody here. But then talk about Thailand. You know, something like
Well,
they arrived in Thailand.
At the end of the World War II,
Yeah.
they were still in Shanghai.
Yes.
And Vera, the mother, met this US military intelligence
Yes.
officer who took them to Thailand.
Yeah.
And at that stage, the secret war against the communists in this part of the world
Yeah.
was just starting up.
Yeah.
And Bangkok was being filled with spies and
Interesting. No, you mentioned that. I know.
covert
Yeah.
operations people.
Yeah. They're not here today, are they?
Some
yeah.
may still be here, but they were running what we call a covert war,
Yes.
undeclared war
Yeah.
against the communists.
Because you spoke about this domino effect thing that they were worried about.
Yes, Russia had fallen to communism, China had fallen to communism,
Yes.
Vietnam was in the process
Yes.
of,
and right the way along.
and who knows, was Thailand going to be next?
Yes. Yeah. Interesting.
Yes.
Eh? Fascinating. And then you spoke about really how they developed their presence here in Thailand.
Yes, I mean, because they ended up sort of working, CIA operatives.
Yeah.
They all had cover jobs,
Yeah, interesting.
and and this involves Lewis, who started up an ice cream business.
Right.
Robert North, who's a movie director.
Interesting.
Jim Thompson set up.
Yeah.
They're all OSS/CIA people working
Yeah.
here in Thailand and operating together. I use the term like a band of brothers.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned that. You
Yes.
mentioned that. You showed some pictures of where they met on a regular basis at their home
Yes.
or wherever that was.
No, Jim Thompson's house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is still there today.
Interesting.
Yes.
And then you finished off with where we can go and see all these people in the cemetery. Or that.
Well, a lot of them, those who made it out to Thailand are all now in a large sort of family crypt up in St. Nicholas Church in Pattaya.
In Pattaya, right?
Yes.
So that's the connection right the way back from
1917, the
to
Russian
here.
Revolution
Fantastic.
to Pattaya. There is a connection all the way through.
Incredible. Because when we announced the speaker and I saw Pattaya and the Russian Revolution, I think, like a lot of our expats, you think, well, really, what's the connection? But you outlined it very, very well. A lot of interest, a lot of questions. So very good, mate. Very interesting.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that there's a few people up there who are interested by the book, which
I'm
is
sure they will do.
The Siberians.
Yes, I saw that.
Fire on the Ice, which only just covers the first part of
Well,
their
you said
story.
there's four. There's gonna be
Plan of 4
Yes.
books. That the last book will be about their Thailand adventure.
Interesting. Well, I can't wait for it. Okay. So anyway, well, look, as always, part of my role is to present our speakers with a certificate
Thank you very much.
of gratitude, and we'll get you back again. Because it was interesting, bloody brilliant.
Okay.
Okay. So look,
Terrific.
again, Expat Club, good speakers, interesting topics, really a whole variety of things. Come along to us Tuesday morning, Hotel Barracuda, breakfast, camaraderie, information, everything you want as an expat. See you next week.
Thank you.